Every haunting has a beginning and an end, but in this place, one becomes the other. Step closer, the lantern's glow will guide you. What you are about to hear are true stories of hauntings all over the world. Welcome to Help, I'm Haunted. Did you see that I froze? That was the weirdest thing that I saw on my end. Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here to Help I'm Haunted. Now listen, my darlings, we have storms. So that's probably why when I came in, I looked weird because I was frozen. But thank you for being here. Welcome to True Oracle. Welcome, each and every one of you. And hello to my beautiful mods. Thank you so much for being here. I've got some stories for you tonight. So get ready. They're a little scary. But before we get started, as you're coming in, please do me a favor and put your sweet little DNA on the like button. Hit that subscribe if you want to. And give everybody a big hug. Because believe me, this one's going to be scary. So I'm just going to tell you that. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to put a little banner up here just for something. There we are. There's a little banner. And I need to do that. And you all know why. So thank you so much. And you know, my voice is fine until I get on here. I don't know what it is. But I also want to thank you for all of you who have ordered Avon. Tonight, it's all Avon. We can talk about that later, but I want to show you something because I want you to run and get this stuff because they're going to sell out of it. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to show you real quick and then we're going to get started. Look at these things. Now, I want you to see, you might not be able to see. Let me see if I can get you closer. There we go. Look at these cute little things. Yay, Avon, yay. I want you to see that little bracelet and those little, help me today. And look at the prices. Now look at this. Those socks, it is a 2-pack plus a little hair scrunchie for $5.99. I wanted those earrings, but unfortunately, they're no longer available. So if you like this cute little stuff, or if you've got a little sweet loved one that likes this cute little stuff, look at this nightshirt. Oops, an unexpected error because there we are. My internet is going wonky right now. Look at this cute nightshirt. Where can you get a nightshirt for $12.99? And they have up to a large, which is a 12 and 14. So when you get done here, my darling, my links are in the description. You can go in there and you can check it out. But look at this little bracelet. And look at this little necklace. And look at the prices. $4.99 for a bracelet. Come on. That's a lot of fun. But I wanted to show these to you because look, we're coming into spooky time, right? So there we go. I wanted to just show you that. And thank you so much. It is so cute. My gosh. Thank you. Now, everybody needs to go there. Listen, run there. Because I was told today that they're selling out. And I tried to get those earring studs. They were in my cart and gone. Oh, thank you so much. Now listen, my favorite scent, and if you're thinking about, oh yeah, this is green. This is haiku. Let me show you another one. The full size cream. Run and get these. These are the full-size scented creams. And I'll tell you what, perfect for daytime when you want just a little something and you don't want to, if you want to let me know later, I can tell you what all the colors are. But we are going to get it started. Now, I want to tell you this. Halloween, and it does sell Odyssey. It does sell Odyssey. Avon still sells Odyssey. They still sell all of the old. Oh, and here comes somebody who can't stand it. Bless you, my darlings. Thank you. Yeah, but look. I just want you to have that stuff because yes, that I love the Odyssey, but I want to just show that stuff because, oh my gosh, it is so cute. And I'll show you the socks when I get them. They shipped yesterday. So I think they're one size fits all and they'll fit me. They'll fit anybody. Okay. Pardon me. They've got samples. They got all kinds of things. But I'm going to show you what my new love is real quick. It's this. The tier. The link is in the description. I can't put it. Maybe one of the mods can grab it for us and put it in the description. But look, this is foundation. And I have problems opening foundation. I don't know what it is, but look at this. This is, no, it doesn't look like that. This is a little puff. It's like those, and then. It's kind of hard to show things with a kitty. And then you open it up, and there is the foundation. Oh, and this is color sand. That's what I take. So you just don't rub, you don't do anything. It's just a little bleep. And then you go on. And I'm going to tell you. I love it. And then I take the dual-ended brush that is so soft. And I just do this. Just get it in there. Always never put it here. And especially when you're getting, I'm going to say 40 and above, don't do this. You put it around. And then whatever is left on your brush, then you do this. Okay? Little hint. All right, there we go. Oh, I don't have any way of making sure that there's any samples because if I were delivering it to you in person, then I could give you samples. But so the makeup tonight is this in the color sand. It is this in the color. This is the cheek color. What is it? Be Blushed. This is a cream blush, and I love it. My lipstick, this is what I really like. The lip liner is Merlot, and the lipstick is Garnet Sky. Look at that. And I put a little gloss on there, got to bling it. All right, my darlings. Thank you so much. Hello, and I'm so glad we've got a first-time watcher here. Yay. Thank you. Okay, let's get started. Now, I've got to say this. Yeah, get ready to be haunted with me. I'm sorry about your cousin, my darling. Oh, I'm sorry. Now, I got to say something about this banner. And there's no names to mention because there is none. But I noticed that sometimes my name comes up in a chat. Some chats about don't go to my live streams because if I find out that you don't like people, not one person, but people, Oh, I'm sorry, honey, if you're in the UK, they don't ship to the UK. But if you don't like certain people, I will kick you out. And that is not true. Period. I don't allow bullying. I don't allow hurt feelings. And I don't allow gossiping. I won't do it. I'm going to tell you why. Last year, there was a young lady who's pretty well known who got crucified in 2 or 3 streams, accused of things that she didn't do. And she came to me and was devastated, horribly devastated. And I told her, why don't you just sit back and wait? Because sometimes with these people and some of these streamers, pretty soon they'll find somebody else to pick on. And they did. And now some of them apologized and everything is A-okay. But between that time and this, and I'm going to tell you what happens. If somebody, and I don't care who it is, male or female, I don't care. If that person is over here and you have a bunch of people ragging and tagging and you start crap in chats and you're negative and everything else, well, guess what happens? I want you to know that these people, you really don't know each other to begin with, right? And maybe if you did, you probably would hate them anyway. Probably would hate each other anyway. And guess what? All of that negative attention that you're giving to this person comes back on you. You don't know what this person goes through. You don't know what's going on with this person. So here's my advice. Leave them alone. Don't go into chats. Don't go, because I'm going to tell you something. They are God's child too. And if you are God's child, you'll stop it right in its tracks. Stop it. They are God's child too. And you don't know what's going on. Don't buy into the karma credit system where you buy now and you pay forever. Let people alone so they can live their lives. Who cares what they do? Stop. Because think about it. What if somebody found out what you did 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago? And they not only put that all over, but they started posting it in streams and started posting it on X, and all of a sudden you lost control and it was horrible. So stop. Because I don't care. If you have an opinion, I'm glad. That means you're not a zombie. But do not come in here trying to push your opinion on everybody else, and including me, because I'll tell you, you'll go right in the moat. I won't put up with it. Period. This is safe for us to tell ghost stories. Right? This is it. First of all, okay, now enough is enough. Now, I also want to thank each and every one of you for coming into the and saying how that you heard me on the lab with Josh the other night. That was so much fun. And if they have another call-in show, I'm going to call in. And I also want you to know that because of you, that little video that that 2-minute video that I put out on Nancy Guthrie took an Uber. That thing is gone to town. And thank you so much. Thank you. Because I'm going to do more. And the next one, be prepared, is creepy. It's creepy. And I had to walk away from my screen a couple of times because I thought, oh, heck, what if that really is true? It makes you stop and think when you have visuals, right? It makes you stop and think. Thank you to my Captain Harris. Thank you. Thank you. That was so much fun. It really is. It was so much fun. I kind of cried too, Joy. Okay, so now let's get into this peaceful Ouija board stuff. Right? Let's get into the peaceful Ouija board. Thank you so much, Terry, my darling. Oh my gosh, why do I do this? Get back. I don't do it any other time. I'm fine. And then the moment that I come on here, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. So here we are, my darlings. Probably the more that I talk, the more that I'll get used to it. Okay, let me get started. Now, we've got some stories here. Yeah, that's right. Peaceful Ouija board compared to some of the trolls that we've got. Hey, I'll take the Ouija board any day. At least I know it's coming from. The hot place, right? Hello. Happy birthday to the hot place. All right. Okay. Thank you, my darlings. I have 3 stories that I want to tell you. Wait, do we want fire or rain? Fireplace or rain? Put 1 in the chat if you want fireplace, or 2 in the chat if you want rain. It's up to you. We'll do whatever you want, and we'll do it for a little bit, and then we'll do the other one on the other half. 1 for fireplace, 2 for rain. Oh boy, we've got a mixed crowd here, my darlings. Mixed crowd. Wow. How it looks like rain is winning out. Okay, we'll do a little bit of rain first. Okay, we'll do the rain first, and then we'll do rain. Here's rain and thunder. Let me turn it down a bit though, so y'all aren't feeling like we have to build an ark. We're going to loop it, so we'll just keep going. And then pretty soon we'll do a thunder. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, now we're talking. Here we go. There we go. There we go. Here we are. All right. I know the rain. I know. We'll do the fireplace soon though. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Now, my darlings, I'm going to start out with some easy ones first, and then we'll get into the real fluffy one. And I just got a notification. Rain is possible within the next hour. It sure is. All right. Oh, how I wish it were rain. Right? All right. When I was little, because and this was not during the Civil War, but right after. When I was little, I went to a slumber party, and I want you to know I was not the most popular person in the world. The little girl was not, I was just not popular. And it's because of me, because of everything. Wait, I can't stand to see that green on me. I have to fix it. So it wasn't because I was popular, because I wasn't. Oh, hello. There we are. What are we going to do here? No. That's better, I guess. No, okay. Because I wasn't. So I got invited to some of these things because, it was easy to pick on and I was little and skinny and mouthy. Oh, mouthy. To the point where I got in trouble a lot. Me? Yes. So they brought out a Ouija board. And I told them, I don't think we should play with that. My parents won't let us play with that. And they're like, yes, yes, we're going to do this. So they started playing with the Ouija board. And I really, even though I knew what it was, I really didn't know what it was. Okay. So they start with this Ouija board. And of course, we're in this basement of the girl's house. And they're all gathering around, and they don't have any lights on. And somebody has a flashlight and everything else. And here it comes. They started picking on me. One of the girls hid. And the other one was using the planchette. Okay? Well, they started this, tell us, does everybody hate Zelda? And they would push it to yes, right? They were mean. Listen, I know about trolls. Does everybody hate Zelda? Yes. Does everybody want, it was all these horrible things, And they picked on me because I could tell what other people were doing, and I had experiences, and they knew it. So I was kind of the odd man out. Pardon me. They were mean. These were the mean girls. These were the original mean girls. So my darlings, they were asking all these mean questions, and it doesn't matter. Finally, they started saying, when is Zelda going to die? Now, kids are kids, right? But we were about 12 and 13. So we weren't little enough. I mean, we knew. We were like right on that edge of preteen. When is Zelda going to die? Is she going to die tonight? Is anybody going to help her? And they kept pushing it to the yes. Well, I sat there. I wasn't afraid because I knew it was them. I knew. They were doing, oh, wait a minute. Our rain went off. Or did it? No, it didn't. Okay, here we go. So finally, remember, one of them hid. Finally, somebody said, I think she's going to die tonight. And just then they pushed it to the yes, and this person comes out with this horrible mask, whatever like that. Now listen. I don't scare very easy at all. Not at all. And some of these other girls didn't know it was going to happen. And they started screaming to the point you couldn't control them. Pardon me. I looked down at the Ouija board. Nobody had their hands on the planchette. Nobody had their hands on it. Because there was just such mayhem in the room and the basement. And after that, it's screaming and going on like that. Oh, wait, it gets good. Pardon me. Pardon me. So now, I got mad. And somebody that was there later on in years told me, you know what? We could tell you got mad. I don't know how I did it. You can ask my son. I did this once in front of him. It was with a television. Another time, his eyes were like this. I went, stop it. And the moment that I did this, that planchette flew off the board and hit that girl that jumped out right in the head. Everybody just stood there. And they just didn't know what to say. The parents were upstairs, and the parents were in some ways just as bad. When that planchette hit that girl in the head, because I didn't touch it, All I said, stop it, like that, and it went, whew, hit it right, hit her right here in the head. They all stood there. And then it was like, oh my God, you're a witch. Oh my God, you're a devil. I said, would you like to see more? You keep picking on me. Oh, there'll be more. I went right over. I snapped on the light. And I got my things together. And I went upstairs. And the mother was waiting by the door. And I looked at her and I said, you are the problem. And of course, that caused some problem. And of course, my dad, that my mom, my grandmother and my mom went to go see her. And finally, she was in the kitchen telling me what a rotten child I was and how I came from this bad stock and everything. And I said, you need to shut your mouth. I shouldn't have said that. That was an adult, and it was a disrespectful move. But you can imagine all that emotion. And I said, you need to shut your mouth because you're wishing bad on me. And I'm not a bad person. You need to shut your mouth. She was going crazy. The girls downstairs, her daughter was like, Mom, let us beat her up. I said, come and touch me, see what happens. Come and touch me. We'll see what happens to each and every one of you. Now, I hate telling this part because I'm not proud. But 2 days later, my mother came and got me. And of course, we went right to my grandmother and my father was ready to get the double barrel, if you know what I mean. They, no way was that ever going to happen to me. My grandma said, don't you worry. They've got it coming. I said, they do have it coming for doing that. They lured me in the basement. They lured me. They tried to scare me, asking when I was going to die, asking all this stuff. Forget it. 2 days later, the mother was at the ballpark, mouthing off. Somebody hit the softball. It came right back, smacked her in the mouth, broke her jaw. She didn't talk for a month. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. That was karma. She got that. She did that to herself. 3 days later, after that, her daughter was at school picking on someone else. I walked around I looked at the chat. I walked around the corner, and this girl, mean girl, was picking on somebody else, throwing her into the lockers. Now, this was like in the early 1970s, right? Throwing her in I just went up there. Now, listen, I was tall. I was a beanpole. I was a beanpole. I stepped right back. I stepped right up there and I said, stop it. What did I tell you? You don't do this. And she said, I'll show you. She went to hit me. I ducked. Her fist landed in the locker and broke these 2 fingers. We can keep going. The girl that got hit in the head with the planchette, 3 days later, see, they were all coming in 3s except for the first one was in 2. 3 days later, was thinking that she was big stuff, picking on somebody else at school. And I hope you're watching. I hope you're watching because you all know who you are. Picking on another girl. She was mouthing off, carrying her books out of the school. She stepped down on, and she was a cheerleader, big stuff. I went right to the door and I said, "How's your head?" She turned around to say some pretty bad things. See, I didn't cuss in school because, my dad was the son of a preacher man, which made it hard on me too. I said hell one time at home, and oh my God, I thought that, it was descending on me. So she was picking on somebody. I went to the door and I said, "Hey, how's your head?" She turned around to cuss me out. And guess what? She turned, fell off the little curb from the sidewalk to go to the car and broke her ankle. And now, I'm not saying to do this because that's not fair. What I'm saying is, look what happens when you mess with this stuff and you use it to hurt people. That's like a double whammy. That's like a double. It's not me doing anything because I don't have that power. I wouldn't want it. But when people are that mean that they wish bad on people, you better look out. And especially if you got some little, now listen, I am no longer a beepole and I am no longer a little skinny kid. But especially when you've got somebody that'll stand up to them like that and harness that negativity and be a mirror so it reflects back onto people. That's how it works. Yes, I know, the only man that will ever, I have to be careful, copyright, is the son of a preacher man. Yep. I can't, he was. Okay, so anyway, the point is, that's not me. It never was and it never would be. But you become a mirror. If you're having trouble with other people, you become a mirror. One of my favorite things to say to others, whatever you do to me will go back to you times 3. If you continue and then look out, it will be times 10. Oh, they got it. They got it. And after the girl broke her ankle, that wasn't me, I didn't push her. She had to take responsibility for that because she was in the act of causing someone else pain and being a jerk. And she wasn't paying attention to her own self. Uh-oh. Look out, trolls. Not pay attention to your own self. Then when you go and step down on, so we have a broken jaw, we have a broken fingers, and we have a broken foot. You know what that means? That covers pretty much all bases. You better not say anything, you better not do anything, and you better stop walking into trouble. That's what that means. Yeah, sticks and stones. Yep. The Ouija is a portal for evil. Yes, it can be. But the reality was they wanted to use it as an excuse to have their own evil, to project their own evil. I don't do that. We don't do that here. We don't do that. You always are a mirror. Why? Well, Xanadu, you darling. Why? Well, I want you to know this. In your words, in your actions, and in your deeds, you are a reflection of your true self. And if anybody, that negativity is projected from you or from them onto you, you just be a mirror. Oh, it's coming back to you. How's that head? How's those fingers? How's that jaw? And guess what? How's that ankle? I was never picked on again. I was called names. I had to go in front of the pastor, and I had to tell him what happened. And the pastor even agreed with me and said, look, it's not, because my dad was ready to just, and I said, I never touched anybody and I never wished anybody's harm. But they used a Ouija board to harm me. And I sent that energy right back to them. And look what happened. Look what evil can come back if you start playing around with some things. And I found out I wasn't the only one that they did that to. They bullied another girl to the point where her family, they just left the area. That's story number 1. Story number 2, for whatever reason, now I don't know. I don't know if it's a cruel thing or not. Christmas that next year, my dad decides to get us a Ouija board. What? We opened it up, my sister and I opened it up. And I looked at Mom like, is he daft? Is he completely daft? Don't worry, my mom divorced him a couple of years later. I mean, what can you do? So my sister decided, she's older than me, decided that she wanted to play with it. So we were at my grandparents' house. We're on the floor, both of us on each end, and I just have my hands just very lightly on that planchet, and it was moving. It was moving, and I wouldn't put it on there, and every time I'd take my hand away, it wouldn't move. So guess what? I got accused of moving the planchet. Why would I want to do that after I had such a bad experience? When you're 12 or 13 years old, anything can happen. So we're there, and my sister's mad. Now, my sister was the favorite. And so I got in trouble, and I had to sit on the other side of the room. That was fine with me. I'll go. That's fine. I'll go. Now, this was Christmas Day. So the board and the planchet got put up on another table. And during the day, we were talking and didn't even pay any attention to it. My grandpa looks over and said, "Did somebody move that?" "No, you saw us. We're all right here." "Does my sister have any special gifts and talents other than hating me?" "No." So we're sitting here, and imagine this room. You see this room. I made this room. Isn't it nice? I'd live there. Hello, I live here. And it's sitting on a desk. Look, except for this Ouija, I wouldn't have it. And you know what? That's not correct. It's not called a Ouija. It is called a Ouija. French and German. Ouija. So I'm sitting across the room. For some reason, I got blamed for it, and my grandfather said, Well, she hasn't been over there near it. Next thing you know, this little planchette is going to town by itself. My grandmother. Hey, everybody. Say hello because this is Mrs. Marie. And Mrs. Marie is in storms and was having problems with electric. Say hello to her and welcome her in. Bless, bless, bless. Hi, darling. Thank you so much for being here. So this thing is going to town, and my grandpa, oh my gosh, jumps up, grabs the board, grabs the planchette, and they had a fireplace, and throws it in the fireplace. Now, I want you to know, within about 10 seconds of getting into that fireplace, there was a scream that came out across the room. And we just kind of all sat there. Merry Christmas, right? We just all just kind of flippin' sat there. So usually, now this was in Ohio, usually what we would do is spend the night at my grandparents'. So it'd be Christmas Eve, Christmas, and then the day after Christmas. We spent the night. My mom came up, woke me up. I get up gingerly because I don't want to wake anybody, don't want to wake my sister. Didn't want to wake anybody. I go out in the hall and my grandmother's standing out there. Now, Grandma, all 5'1" of her, and even then I was really tall, is standing in, she's standing in the hallway with a big butcher. And you know what I mean. Oui is French for yes. Ja is German for yes. So it's yes, yes. And the Ouija board was originally made in the 1800s by a man whose name was Elijah, a businessman. So you knew what he was wanting. And it was in the height of that Victorian era where everyone wanted to contact spirits, right? A businessman. We know who he is. So my grandmother has this butcher. You know what I mean. And my mom and grandmother and I are standing there. And now as I look back, I'm thinking if anybody looked in the mirror, they would be probably thinking, no, his name was not Milton Bradley. Hasbro came out with it first, and then it was Parker Brothers. I thought if anybody ever looked in that window and saw my grandmother with a big butcher and me and my mother standing there in the hall in our night dresses, they would probably be thinking, oh, here we are. Here we go. This is going to be, they didn't have any of these crime shows back then, no 48 hours. So I said, what's going on? And of course, my grandmother had her little sponge rollers in. What's going on? My grandmother looks at me and she said, you need to come here and see this. Because see, listen, I was the one who always got pulled in. Because they knew what I was destined, whether it was good or bad. We were sneaking out to the living room. Sponge pink rollers. It used to be the little wire ones until she just couldn't stand to sleep on them anymore. So then it was the pink sponge ones. We were all sneaking out to the living room. And my friends, that Ouija board was sitting on the hearth of the fireplace with the planchette. Now it was burned and it was scorched, but it was laying right in front of the fireplace. Now that's we all saw it burning. We all saw it burning. But it was sitting right outside. I thought my mother was gonna fall out. My grandmother, she's like me, dig your heels in, let's find out what the heck this is. Now, you know, my grandmother met Lorraine Warren. We'll tell you about that story one day. I'm going to tell you. My grandmother looks at me. What we gonna do, Zell? What we gonna do? What are you looking at me for? I'm 13 years old. What the heck am I gonna do? What? And she said, you need to tell us what to do. Now, I never really could figure that one out. I think it's just because she was scared. I said, well, what we need to do is we need to throw that thing out like a sail. And we need to bury that planchet. I said, we just need to bury that. So we all sat up in the living room, my mom and grandma and I. And I told them, we sit with our backs to the wall, not to the windows, and we face the fireplace. We like make a triangle in the room. So we're all sitting there, and I'm so tired, I'm falling asleep. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Finally, you know, everything kind of calmed down. And my grandmother says, I think it's time we just make some breakfast. How about some coffee? And my grandmother used to call my mother Wheezy. And that was long before the Jeffersons came out. And it's because my mother's middle name was Louise, just like my grandmother's, Wheezy. My middle name happens to be after my grandfather. So, she says, Wheezy, would you like some coffee? And I said, I'll take some coffee. So we're sitting up, and finally, and it was okay. I mean, it was not cold out. Finally, it got to be light. And they had a creek that ran by there. A crick, as we used to call them in Ohio. We had a crick that ran by the house, my grandparents' house. And I said, look, after we have a bite to eat, I'm going to go down. After I go have my peach pie and coffee, there's a shovel in the shed. I'll go down by the creek and I'll bury it. So I put my grandfather's waiter boots on. If you would have seen, now imagine a young girl, 13 years old, about the size of this, with waiter boots, going down by the creek. My grandmother and my mother were laughing so hard that I think they forgot all about this. But I had an old rag of my grandfather's. I dug a hole. You could have probably buried a person in it standing up. That's how deep it was. I just kept digging and digging and digging. I dug a hole. I put that in there. No, I didn't. I broke it. I stood on and broke it. Put it down in the dirt, covered it all up, make sure I patted it. And that's the last we saw. Every now and then, when we go over to my grandparents afterward, I'd go down to the creek, and I'd just kind of look to see if anything was disturbed. And I'm just going to basically say, it's probably still there. It's probably still there. My grandparents built that house. And eventually, you know, life happens and you move away and everything else. But I can bet you 10 to 1, it's probably still there. And there it shall stay. Now, fast forward a few years. Now, you've all heard me talking about dating Shrek. Just give me a second. This is kind of a funny one. And quite frankly, when it came to Shrek, I wouldn't care. Sorry, he was that mean. So I was dating, and we called him Shrek because he kind of looked like him, other than he just wasn't green. You can ask my son. He was Shrek. Yes, that guy again. Hi, Kelly. Yes, Shrek again. Now, this is when I first kind of met him, and then I thought, what am I doing? But anyway, it was just to kill time at that time, I guess. Oh, yes, he was terribly handsome, more terribly than handsome. And so, oh, there you go. There you go, parched, posy. I love it. So I decided one evening that I wanted to go out for Indian food, as in curry, Eastern Indian food. I love different cultures and different foods. And I can't eat anything hot and spicy, but I just love to do that. And there was a brand new Indian place that opened up, and we were in Sevierville, Tennessee, and it opened up, I think it was in Pigeon Forge. He was Mr. Right. Yeah, right then. So we just thought, hey, let's go have some Indian food, Indian cuisine. So his son, now an accent is about to come. His son was going to go with us. Let me turn that rain down. Here we go. That rain almost made me go southern for a second. There we go. That's a little better. All right. So we're sitting there. His son meets us there. Now, I'm just going to tell you, his son was just corn pone. He was cornbread. That there, he just couldn't hardly say nothing without dragging it out. And his voice was a little gravelly, so here we go. So he sits down. Now, table manners and etiquette, when they got the money for charm school, they spent it on other stuff. I'm just going to tell you, okay? So he sits down. He said, "What's good here?" I said, "I don't know. We haven't eaten here before, and this just really looks good." And so here we are. "Dad, what do you think?" He said, "Well, as long as I can have something a little spicy, that I'll be happy." So we're sitting there. The waiter comes up. He was so nice, such a nice person. Takes our order, explains the menu, tells us what we want, all this other stuff. I need a little help sometimes to decide different cuisines because I want to be happy if I'm ordering it, right? Why not? So we're sitting there. He says, and by the way, he's from Newport, Tennessee. That tells you. Anyway, so he came over to Sevierville to sit down and eat with us. We're sitting there eating. I'm not really paying attention. And Shrek, all of a sudden, is starting to cough a little bit. And I look over at him, and he's like really perspiring. I mean, like dripping, perspiring. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, this is just more spicy than what I thought I could even handle." And he says, so Mr. Cornbone, this Cornbread the son, we're just going to call him Corn. Corn looks at him and says, Dad. Now remember, Dad said he was perspiring. Corn looks over and says, Dad. He's sitting in front of me. Shrek's sitting to my right. Dad, what do you want to use these big words for? His dad looked at him and said, big words? He says, yeah, sitting over there talking about perspiring. Who you trying to impress? He said, well, no one really, because we're sitting here eating and I'm just trying to, contain myself. He says, well, you don't need to be using them big words. What does it even mean? So, here we go. Here we go. You know me. Here we go. I said, it's because, this part, time out. He says, well, you want to use them big words. He says, why don't you just say sweat? He says, why don't you just use sweat? And that's when Shrek says, well, we're sitting here eating and I just, I know it's noticeable that I'm struggling with this and I just didn't want to, He says, well, you don't need to be using them big words in front of us. Who are you trying to impress? Here we go. So I said, because I'll tell you why. Horses sweat. Men perspire and women glisten. And if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind finishing my dinner instead of having this conversation about who's sweating and who ain't. And that was it. He just didn't say anything more. He was mad because I called him out. So this was a time that, at that time I was working a big commission job and waiting for a little bit of commission check to come in. And he says, hey, did you ever get your commission? I said, I don't know. Did I? Well, I was just wondering. There's a place I'd like to stop at when we're done with here. Dad, is that all right with you? And Dad, of course, anything, didn't matter how bad behavior, anything. So we went, I'm getting away from the story, but you got to see this. So we go out. He pulls into this car dealership. He's looking at trucks. Now listen, this little fella, and I don't mean to be mean, but this little fella wasn't any bigger than a minute. Riley's sitting here. If you could see him. Just a minute. We're going haywire because he's sitting on the mouse. Angel, what are we doing here? Thank you. You can sit here, but just don't sit on stuff. So anyway, my darlings, hey, now here he's looking at these big 4x4. Dad, ain't this a nice truck? His dad's, oh yeah. Then he starts coming over and looking at me. Zell, ain't this a nice truck? I said, yeah, it sure is. I'd look pretty good behind that wheel. So listen, I knew what they were up to. He said, do you think we can take it for a ride? I said, you can do whatever you want to. So the salesman comes out and he says, no, just hillbilly complex, my darling. He comes out The salesman comes out and he says, well, this is a pretty nice truck. We just need to know that you have the capacity to buy it. And what does he do? He looks over at me. He said, oh, okay, well, you're the mother. I said, I'm not his mother. And he went, oh, well, who's got the proof of funds? And Corn looks at me and says, well, I thought you just got your commission check. I said, well, darling, it's not for you. We're not related. Is your dad and I married? No. Will we ever be getting married? Not on your life. I said, I guess you just don't get to take that truck out then, do you? Well, you can bet that night was HE double hockey sticks. But good old Shrek, he went on his way. All right, so back to the, I had to do the accent because I know y'all like it. Wendy, you take care, my darling. You be a mirror. So here's your next story. Get ready. I was on a paranormal investigation. Pardon me. Hi there, Standing Stones, my darling. So nice to see you. So I was on a paranormal investigation. We're coming back now from the state of Tennessee in the cornbread and the sweating like a horse. I was on a paranormal investigation. This was in the state of Tennessee. Now, I got called in twice for this. These people had bought this old house. And sometimes in a couple of counties, old houses mean they're just old bungalows and they're run down. They're not these big, beautiful type homes that you can go in that are on the National Register, because too many developers go in and buy these land, the farm and the land, and then they knock down the homes and they leave whatever little, and they build houses. That's just the way a lot of parts of Tennessee is. Pardon me. So this couple called me and they were having problems within their home. And I went there one night and did a little investigation. And the man stayed there with me, not because he didn't trust me, but because he was afraid for me. The mother and the son went off and they stayed with her mother. I appreciate that, right? Pardon me. I got a little tickle because I had a little furry guest. All right. Hello to each and every one of you coming in, and please do me a favor. Hit that like and subscribe button for me, please. Thank you. So now, I don't know what you're talking about, Standing Stones. Okay, so anyway, so we went room by room, and he was showing me, and believe me, there was a lot of work that needed to be done. But as we would go from room to room, you would hear doors closing, footsteps upstairs. You would hear sneezing, or you would hear somebody. You'd hear somebody or something roaming around in the house. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I don't get scared or bothered a lot of times unless there's a jump scare. And then, of course, I'm going to be startled. If I didn't get scared sometimes, then I don't think that it would be a healthy approach, because sometimes your body tells you got to vamoose. Oh, just like that, right? Hello, and hello there. Okay, we'll get them going. So we're sitting in the living room, And now I have a little tape recorder. I don't use the EVP. I don't use a spirit box, but I have a tape recorder because I don't want to record a spirit. I want to record the energy that's walking around. What's walking around, what's doing. Here, let's put a little action on here. What's walking around, what's happening, that's what I want to know. And so I had this little tape recorder out. And hold on, let me do something. There we go. I wanted you to see the background. Here we are. Oh, I just clicked on a button. It says remove Lady Zelda from the stage. No. All right. So the sounds got really intense. And I said, are you sure? Are you sure that somebody's not here? My darlings, we have a total of about 450 people, 415 people that are watching. Please do me a favor. It really helps me if you just hit the like button. It helps me. Thank you so much. So these noises started getting more and more intense. So I started asking this young man, what is the history of this house? What's going on with this? Why is it like this? Well, the first thing that he's looking at me like, we don't know. I said, okay. I mean, a lot of people don't do research on their homes, but if you're hearing a lot of noises, it might be a good idea to ask some neighbors. And he said, well, we don't really have a lot of neighbors. When they didn't, it was kind of like farmland. I said, okay, fair enough. So we need to find out about the home. So as we sat there, these noises became more and more intense. And I said, I just feel like there's something here that is a root cause to what is happening here, and it's causing something to loop. That's just the way it is. It's looping. And he says, I have an idea, but I don't know. And I said, okay. He says, now our little boy at night will sit up and be talking to people. Now listen. Anytime kids and pets are involved in these things, my little Spock ears stand up, because kids and pets, listen, I was bullied, but it was by the human realm, not the spiritual. But I don't want kids and animals to suffer from this stuff, because sometimes, yes, bad entities, yes, bad energy will hook on to kids and animals, and especially little kids that have fear. We don't want that. So I said, well, what's your little boy doing? He said, he sits up at night and we hear him talking. And I said, well, what do you do when he's talking? He said, we get up and we listen at the door. I said, do you hear another voice? And he says, no. And he said, we're just thinking that maybe he's talking. I said, do you have an animal? No. Have you ever tried to walk in when he's talking? Yes. What's he doing? He's sitting up in his bed. Does he look scared? No. Where's he looking? Well, he's looking at the closet. Always a closet. And I said, well, what's in the closet? He said, nothing, is clothes. We haven't seen anything. Now, it's dark now. We're roaming around the house. And he said, well, there's nothing I've looked in there and there's nothing in there. And I said, okay, this is what we're going to do, my darlings. I'm going to Hold on a minute, check my messages. I'm going to, not the closet. Wait, hold on. Not, oh, sometimes, yes, that's very true, but not the closet. Not the closet, right? Hello. Not the oh God, not the closet. Yes, the closet. Then I got a scary one to tell you about my son. The closet. And I said, doesn't this bother you enough that you would try to move him? It's not like you don't have enough room. And he said, well, his room is probably the one that's closest to being finished. I said, I know. But if he's sitting there in his little bed, talking to somebody and looking at his closet, that is concerning. Did he do that before? No. No. I said I have to come back tomorrow during daytime hours. Now this was upstairs. We go downstairs and dang, immediately the moment that we went downstairs, that little boy's door to his room slammed. And I jumped, not because I was scared, but imagine a door, quiet, peaceful, and a door right behind you slamming. Now this man was in front. He turned around, and I turned around and I said, oh, heck no. And I went right back in there and got right back in that room. I opened that door, went right back in that room. Before that man came up to the room, and because I walked right in, that door slammed again behind me. Now this is the part where you start going, maybe, uh-oh. Okay. But I didn't yet. And I said, look, I'm not playing. Stop. I went over to open the door, and the door wouldn't open. The man is on the other side. Hold on, I got a knocking. We've got to have some, there we go. It was louder than this, though. And he says, are you in there, Zelda? And I said, yes, I'm in here, but I can't open the door. He says, I can't get it open from my side either. And I said, well, just give it a few minutes. Maybe it's stuck. And he said, I'm going to go downstairs and get a screwdriver. Maybe we can, I said, because yeah, it slammed pretty hard. We're trying to debunk it, right? And I'm trying not to scare him because he's starting to, and I said, has this ever happened with your little boy? And he said, no. Okay. So I'm sitting in the room on this little boy's, kind of on the edge of this little boy's bed, and I'm kind of looking around. Now it's dark. And I've got my little recorder, but my recorder wouldn't work. The batteries are dead. The little boy wasn't there. Him and his mama went off for that night, and it was just me and the daddy. He was showing me around. And these, I mean, this is a young couple. These people were probably mid-30s. So I think I was in my 50s at that time. It doesn't matter. It still happened. So I'm sitting there, and do you know how your eyes can adjust to the dark? I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, am I seeing something in the closet? Because I thought I saw a shadow. Now listen to me a second. When you are in a dark black room that's dark black, and you see a shadow that's darker and blacker than the room, you need to start thinking. So I started praying. because I kind of knew what this was, and it didn't want me there. So this guy comes back up. I hear him and goes, Zelda, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. And he says, I've got this screwdriver, and I'm hearing him dig at this door. And he says, I don't think I can get it open. And I said, we better get it open because breakfast is coming soon. I'm trying to keep it light because he's panicking. And I said, that's okay. Just stand back. Just stand back. I went over to the door. I grabbed the doorknob, and it just opened very easily. And I said, see, you did it. You had the screwdriver. It's just because it's old. Don't worry. But I said, I'm coming back tomorrow during the day. And he said, okay, I'm coming back tomorrow. Now, I want to tell you something, my darlings, time out, because I know this is scary stuff. I kind of grew up with it in a way. You can ask my son. It's kind of sort of normal, and I'm going to tell a story about him in a minute. But I've learned that frightening and that emotion makes it worse. Any lower astral. And I'm going to tell you, there's not a demon around every corner. I am not Zach Bagans, who gets possessed every time there's a show on at Monday night at 10 or whenever they're on. You have to kind of know where this stuff comes from. There's energy. Most of it is residual hauntings or looping residual energy. Think of it that way. I want you to think about this too. How many times do you go into church and they're talking about the Holy Ghost? Well, for me, the Holy Spirit is not a ghost. So it's okay if you have somebody on this end that, oh my goodness, I'm a Christian, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a sensitive, right? But then if you are a paranormal psychic, oh no, you're going to the hot place until something happens that they need you to. They were kind of renovating. They were kind of renovating. Hold on. What happens if you are the Ouija board, though? I wasn't the Ouija board. And okay, so anyway, I go back the next day, and Mom and the little boy is there, and I said, look, let's sit down. I just want to talk to the little boy. And the little boy, I said, hey, can you show me one of your trucks? Because he had a few little toys. And he's showing me this stuff. He was really into, and brilliant. Little fellow, brilliant. I think he was like first grade, brilliant. We were talking about these trucks, and he had a tractor and everything else. And I said, hey, do you keep these toys in your closet? And he said, yes, ma'am. I said, oh, so is that who you talk to at night? And he said, no, ma'am. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, who do you talk to at night? He said, there's someone that lives in there, says he needs to talk to me at night. I said, do you ever see him? No, sometimes. He just kind of feels like he's just dark sometimes. I said, what do you mean he's dark sometimes? Does he talk to you in bad ways? Or is the color of him dark? And he says, no. He said, the color of him is dark. And so anyway, he says, but he's okay. He's not going to hurt anybody. I said, oh, good. That's good. I said, how long has he been here? He said, I don't know. He hasn't told me. I said, what keeps him here? I don't know. He hasn't told me. But he did talk to me about something about no longer being alive. But he didn't say it that way. And I said, okay, that all right, I get it. I said, do you mind showing me your closet? And he says, no. He said, I'll show you. I said, I want to see your toys. And I'm looking at the dad. And the mom is sitting there like, I'm looking at the dad and I said, come on, Dad. I want you to show me, help me show the closet. I want you to show me that closet. Okay. So we go upstairs. So we go upstairs, and so I'm just kind of standing there because I don't want to help myself. I'm waiting on this little fellow. He's so cute. And he's taking out all these toys, and he'd take one, he'd look at me, and he said, now, Zelda, look at this. He's looking like this, and look at this, and he's doing all this other, right? He's doing all this other. And he's saying all these things. So finally I said, hey, do you mind if I get down there and look at those too? So I'm sitting on the floor with this little boy, and the dad's kind of sitting on the bed watching. I said, do you mind if I just look around your closet? Do you mind if we take some of those things out? And he goes, no, ma'am, you can do that. I said, you know what? We might find something you haven't played with in a long time. So I told Dad, I said, now listen, I want you to stand. I want you to stand here. Okay? And I don't want you just watch. So the little boy and I are taking some things, and he didn't have a messy closet. I just want you to know. A few things hanging in there, but there was a little box and some toys and whatever. And as we pulled them out, I went around because the closet was wooden, I went around the closet and was knocking on the walls. Lo and behold, I knocked on the walls, and we heard knocking in the other room. Now, I want you to know, Mama about came unglued. And the little boy pipes up and says, oh, that's him. The dad, the mom, they were like, that's who. And I said, you know what? You do me a favor. You come over here and sit on your bed. I need to talk to your mommy and daddy, okay? And he's like, yeah, that's okay. I'm here. I said, well, now we're going to leave the door open. Okay, yeah, that's here. That's cool. We went out in the hall, and I said, now listen. You may hear some things that you've never heard from before from your son. And I'm going to ask you not to react, because if you react like you just did in there, he's going to see it and he's going to become scared, and we don't want him scared. He's not scared. So, and they're like, yes, but what is this? What if it's a demon? What if it's trying? I said, calm. We're going to get to the root cause of it. Calm. So finally, we get back into the room, and I told him, I said, listen, if you have to react, you need to turn your back. Do not let this sweet little boy, because we teach our kids, if he sees that you're panicking, he's going to start panicking because he does not know fear. Got me? And you're not going to teach him how to know fear right now. There's no reason to. Let's get to the bottom of it. So finally I go back in there and we're, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. I haven't seen this before and everything. And I'm knocking on the inside of the closet. I step in the inside of the closet and there's one board like that went out to the hall that is like, you could tell that it felt like a piece of paneling compared to sheetrock. That's the only way that I can describe it. Paneling and then sheetrock. And so I went out and I told the dad, I said, that's a false wall. Are you opposed to taking that wall down? He said, no, let me go get my hammer and let me go get a couple screwdrivers and everything else. Okay, here we go. So we're sitting there talking to the little boy, and the little boy is, and he's like, are you going to be finding him, ma'am? I said, I don't know. If he lives in there, maybe we will. I said, what do you think we ought to do if we find him? Pardon me. So what do you think we ought to do if we find him? And he says, I don't know. Maybe he wants to stay in there. I said, maybe he does. But we're going to find out why he's here and why he wants to talk to you. So the dad of the boy comes in and he starts, and now this is daylight. He starts hammering and starts pulling out this wall, this paneling. And just then, it felt like something grabbed the hammer from him, and he dropped the hammer on the floor. He was so freaked out, and I said, well, you know what, why don't you just take a break? I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind a drink. Can I have some water, please? And he said, yeah. And I said, Mama, you stay here with me. And so I went in the closet, and I'm pulling on this, and I'm whispering, don't you dare touch this hammer. I'll send you right back where you came from. Don't you dare touch this. Don't you dare come out here. Don't. And I'm like, so, and now listen, when I go to any haunting, I have a safety pin that's iron. And I have I have things on it. I also take an iron key with me. And that protects. They can't cross over the iron. So I didn't tell it to run, but I'll tell him to run, right? So you can hear in the closet like somebody is, if an entity is coughing and clearing his throat, that's exactly what it sounded like, because it was getting disturbed. So finally I got it loose enough. I wasn't strong enough. I got it loose enough, and when Dad came back into the room, Daddy, I said, look, you can go in there and you can pull it out. We pulled it out, and there were some things that were hidden in the wall. There was a box. That box was about as big, oh, it's green, I'm sorry, about as green as my journal here. No, it wasn't green. It was about as big as this journal, okay? And then there was something that was wrapped up many, many, many times. And I said, well, the best thing for us to do is take these things downstairs and let's see what it is. So we got the little boy, and I said, "Hey, will you do me a favor? Take your favorite tractor or favorite truck, and let's go downstairs, and we're going to look at him." Okay. So we went to the dining room table. Now, bless this lady. She was so adorable. And I got to tell you, a lot of these people, and when people say, "Zelda, are you a law enforcement?" Far from it. I don't have anything to say negative. I'm glad I'm not. That's a very, very hard job to do. But my point is, I work for families. I don't work for law enforcement. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I'm a forensic, intuitive, paranormal chick, a hot Cheeto girl. So we take these things, we go down there, and what I was going to say is this young lady, bless her, she says, "Zelda, are you hungry?" And I said, "You know what, my darling, I am kind of. But I don't want to put you out. If you want, let's go get something and I'll buy." She says, "Oh no. Oh no, I won't have it." I said, "You won't?" And she says, "No." And she puts her little apron on. Now, I wear an apron. I just love aprons, right? But I have the apron that goes around the neck, and especially when I've been baking bread, and that's been a lot lately. But she had this little, just a little string. She puts that little apron on. Blackberry cobbler that was seedless. I don't like seeds in my cobbler. Maybe somebody does. I don't. Anyway, potato salad, macaroni salad, baked beans. Now, I don't eat pork, but she had some ribs there, and I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I had a little bit of pork for her. Because they went all out. Cornbread, not cornbread, but cornbread, and it's a sweet cornbread. I'm a sweet cornbread person. You don't give me a piece of cornbread that is so daggone dry that it just crumbles. No. Maybe. So anyway, she had this big spread. And oh my gosh, listen, I didn't want to make a fool of myself. But I told her, I said, "If you don't mind, I'm going to eat like a field hand. This is so good." We were, and you know what? The food brought us together. We didn't, we forgot all those feelings, right? The little boy was happy, he was eating and everything else. It was just a wonderful time. And then the next thing you know, and we hear some walking. And I said, "Oh my." I said, "Excuse me." I jumped up from the table, and listen, feet don't fail me now. I run up those steps. I wanted to see, and there was nothing. But I didn't go in the room because he wasn't going to close me in. So we went back downstairs, and I said, "Oh, you know what? I think that was just the wind," because I didn't want to scare the little boy. So we got out the box, and we looked in the box, and there was a necklace. There was a piece of paper that was folded up like a note, and there was one earring, and that was it. One earring, a necklace. Listen, I'll eat a hoe cake any day. I know it sounds bad. Who's the hoe? She made the cake. That's the joke. Okay. Anyway. So That was it. That was all it was in the box. A piece of paper folded that was blank, then a necklace and one earring. Now we unwrap this, because this young lady cleared her table immediately like a good mama, and she started doing the dishes. So it was Dad and it was me at the dining room table looking at that. It was a Ouija board. A Ouija board. It was a Ouija board that was stuck in this little boy's closet. And it had been there for a long time, even before they moved in. It was old, and you could tell this thing had to be, and wait a minute, when was this? This had to be turned to the last century. That's how old it was. Like probably late 1800s, I'm going to say. The planchet was different. I'd never seen a planchet like that. It didn't have the round glass circle in it. It just had like a nail that was put into it. And you know the reason they put a nail in it, I'm just going to tell you this. It's because of the frequency. That's what draws, because entities will and can jump on that. That's why you don't use them. Because, see, here's the problem. People use them, just like the girl in the basement that got whacked in the head. People use them, but they open the portal and then they don't close it. Yes, the pin is like the middle. It's that piece that's in the middle. So that's one of the problems. Number two, it is sold as a game. As a game in toy stores, wherever. I went on a campaign and wrote letters until they were coming out the you-know-where about how this is so dangerous to people opening up portals, not closing them correctly, people not knowing. If you look at the instructions, get out the board, put your fingers lightly on the planchet, ask your questions. There's no warnings, there's no anything. The guy's name who invented this was Elijah Bond. He patented this. So there's a patent on it. And then in the late 1800s, it became a household name. And Hasbro owns it, but I believe it went over into Parker Brothers and all that other. But that it started in the late 1800s during that whole Victorian craze of contacting spirits and all this other stuff. Crazy. Even Houdini said, didn't like, that's when seances were huge. I've been to one seance. I'll tell you about that one time. But no. Well, I didn't have any hunch of anything. I knew something was there because the little boy was talking in the closet, and because I saw that black figure, that dark black figure. That's right. There ain't no game to a Ouija board. That's correct. Hello, my darlings. Come on in. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Hello, hello. Let me check my thank you, my darling. Someone sent me an anonymous. I don't know how you send anonymous. Someone sent me an anonymous Cash App. And I want to thank you for that, because that just might get me some DoorDash tonight. Okay, so anyway. So As time went on, now it was pretty early. We ate in the afternoon. And it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon when we ate. So I told him, we're going to have to get rid of that. That's what's causing, that is what's causing this. This is a portal that somebody was playing around with probably when. So finally, oh, did you? I don't know. I didn't see you, my darling Sherry. Let me check. No, I don't know how you do that. Sometimes people send anonymous. Darling, I didn't get anything from you. Did you send it today? I know it's been bad here. The humidity is bad. Anyway, you may want to check on that, my darling. Check on it. Because here's the thing. You get a bunch of amateurs or desperate people. Oh, I don't have it, darling. I didn't get anything. I didn't get a Cash App. I didn't. What? You might want to check on that, Sherry, because it didn't come through. I usually get them immediately. Thank you for thinking of me. Was it Venmo or I don't have any indication from you, my darling. You might want to check. Sometimes those Cash Apps and everything else, I don't know. Whatever. They get stuck or whatever. I don't know. I'll thank you in advance for thinking of me. But I didn't get it. I'm so sorry. So anyway, so you've got to close the portal, and most people don't even close the portal. And quite frankly, it just depends on what you're doing in order to close it. So, my darlings, I told him, I'm going to have to take this with me because I don't want to bury it. I don't want to do anything on your property. And the man wouldn't let me. I'm glad he didn't. But the man wouldn't let me take it. Okay. I'll tell you sometime about the relics that I did take. So I sat down in the room for a little bit and kind of walked around. I said, we've got to find out how this is happening. And I want to tell you something, my darlings. I know of you send me little things, but if I have too many windows open, I don't have a color pick with a blue butterfly. Wait a minute. My account says Lady Zelda Kelly. I don't know if you can see it or not. My hair is down. I don't have a blue butterfly in my pic. I don't. I wish I could show you what it is. Let me see if you can see. No, you can't see it that way. I don't know. Let me see if I can show you my pic. But it says Lady. This is my Cash App. I'll put it right here and then you'll know. Because nobody can have my same name, sir. There you go, my darlings. That's my Cash App. That's it right there. So you can check. Okay. So finally, he sat down with me and I said, we're going to have to do something with this. If we burn it, you could still be in trouble because the fumes from that can just transport. So we're going to have to bury it. We're going to have to do something. So what we did is they had salt. We blessed the salt. He had a tarp in the garage. We got out the garage. We got a tarp out. We took that box of salt and we just doused it. Prayed over it. Wrapped it up. He taped it with duct tape. And he buried it. Away from the property, he buried it. And it was close to a cornfield of his neighbors, but, we didn't think anything about it. Buried it. That was it. Now, we went back up to the room and we put his room back together. And they called me the next day and said, he didn't talk to anybody last night. He asked where his friend was. I said, what did you tell him? His friend had to move away. And I said, see, that was the best thing to do. Just don't make a big deal about it. Tell him he had to move. Just tell him he had to move away. So finally, my darlings, it was about 2 or 3 days later, they called me and they said, how do you feel about coming out for eats again? I said, I'll come out for eats anytime you want me to. Can you come out today later on? And I said, I'll move some things around. We'll be out there. Because I knew they wouldn't ask me unless they had something to tell. So she fixed this beautiful spread again. I mean, bless her. And so finally, we go out there, and the man meets me at the car, and he said, listen, before you come in, I want to show you something. And I said, okay. And he said, come over here. We went over to the area where we buried it. Dead birds. There was a dead rabbit. Anything that crossed over that. And he said, should I move it? I said, no, you can't disturb it. You're just going to let it go. You're going to have to let it go. About 2 months later, they called me and told me that there was like a 3-foot circumference around that place where we buried it, that the grass was dead. Nothing would grow. Any corn that had been up close to that was dying. He said, what should we do? I said, you leave it. If you dig that up now, you're in trouble. You leave it. So I went over, did a house blessing for them, made sure that there was lots of salt, made sure that had lots of prayer. They got a little bit of iron and put the iron stakes around. And that was the last I heard. And that little boy is probably close to 23 years old now. I sure would like to see him. Now I did a little bit of nosing around, like I do in the Nancy Guthrie case. I did a little bit of nosing around. I don't know what happened to the necklace and the earring. We didn't bury it because that wasn't the portal. So found out that there was a man who lived in the house whose wife and daughter had an accident. It always is that. And they didn't make it. It was an accident on the farm. They didn't make it. And he tried to bring them back or to talk to them or something. And that's usually what happens when people want to use a Ouija board. They're wanting to know, My loved one is here. Can I listen? I think right along. Pardon me, sir. Oh, okay then. Look at this. I think these right along with these EVP apps and all these other things, they're dangerous. You don't know who you're talking to. You just don't know. So the last story for the night, my darlings. My son had an experiment or an experience, more or less. Now, I just want you to know, if you ask my son, is this stuff weird? He would probably say, well, it just depends. But before we do that, I want to thank, people are sending things in and I want to thank you. But what I was going to say is, I can't have a lot of windows open because it doesn't work correctly for some reason. And I know people are sending little gifts and jewels and all kinds of things. And thank you. The mods are thanking you. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you so much, okay? I don't see them, but I thank you. I didn't even know you could do them, but thank you. All right. So now, let's thank a few people. Let's take a breath. It was getting a little heavy. Let's take a breath. Moral of the story is, don't mess with Ouija boards. Don't mess with that stuff. We have a new member and so happy. Hi there, my darling. Thank you so much for being here. Love your profile picture. There's my darling KS Granny 4. Has been a member for 11 months. Oh my goodness. And there's Weird Debbie, my darling. You're not so weird. Look at that sweetheart. Member for 12. Thank you. Pamela, your generosity. Love you, Lady Zelda. And keep searching for the truth. Thank you. I think that I will. Beyond here and beyond. Please buy a journal with this gift. Thank you. Oh, thank you. That's a great idea. I will do that because this one is almost full. I have it filled with some stories from Lord Greggor. I have my other one that is like that, almost filled with stories. So I will do that. Thank you so much. That's a great idea. Thank you. Hi there, my darling. I don't know. I'm just going to say Jackie. Look at that little ginger. Thank you for your generosity. There is my darling jingle from the 70s commercial. Hey, Ouija, we need you. We want to ask a question. I remember. Do you remember that? I remember that. Holy mackerel. That is something else. Thank you. Thanks so much for your generosity, my darlings. Thank you. All right. So now, here comes, what are you doing? Hiking up your hiney? What's going on? Here. Okay. Pendulums, energy. The energy apps, energy. And when you see this, you will never hear me call in, hey, I want to hear the spirit. Now, look, I'm not going to cut anybody else down that wants to do that. If they believe in it, okay. That's fine. They're allowed to, because their belief system may be different, and I'm not here to cut anybody else down. I just know what's right for me. And all I know is sometimes there's bad experiences. When you especially try to talk to loved ones and so forth, my darlings, the way our system is set up in a spiritual realm, they're moved on and they're happy. They're not going to come back here and talk to you every time you want to know, are you running the vacuum cleaner today? No. Let them go. Let them be happy. I have never once asked to talk to my parents, to talk to my grandparents, nothing, because they did their time here, and oh my, I do not want to call them back. Because if you think of the story of the Witch of Endor in the book of Samuel, calling back a spirit is a big thing. Now, but Zelda, how many people do that on here? And they say they're talking to Nancy and Charlie Kirk and all these other, yeah. Well, they sound like them. They're called mimics. They're called mimics. They're called entities. Of course they're going to sound like them. The night my mother passed away, I knew because the phone was a landline, rang really, really weird. And I wouldn't answer it. And when I wouldn't answer it, the top shelf in my closet fell down and everything, no reason, it just fell down. And I said, no, Mama, we're okay, and you are too. You gotta go on. Gotta move. Gotta go on. I'll see you again someday. I was 34 when that happened. 31 years ago. And I don't want to hurt family and friends asking them to come back. It's soul wrenching. I'll tell you why. In the book of Endor, I just can't say anything about anybody else. I don't want to. Because they have their own belief systems and it's not fair, whatever they want to do. I mean, that's it. But think of the book of Endor when the witch, not the book of Endor, I'm sorry, the book of Samuel, the witch of Endor, when the witch called back Samuel because Saul just couldn't stand himself and he just wanted some advice and but he was the one who made the rule, no bringing back, but he broke his own rule. And you know what happened? Samuel came back, and you know what he said? Why did you do this? I was happy. Why did you do you know how hurtful this is? Why did you do this? And you don't want to do that to anybody. Okay? So now, I use energy for the pendulums to find people, find objects. I don't ask to get messages from them. Energy from houses, energy from objects, energy from little animals like Sadie will tell us where they are. If they are living and here. If they are not living, it's a different type of energy that is omitted. Because energy never gets destroyed. When your body goes, when you pass away and the silver cord is broken and you go back to the Creator, that's where you're going to stay. That's where you're going to stay. What happens is if you open portals and you encourage things to come and be, you might have problems. And I'm just going to say this. If you're having health problems, financial problems, problems of where you're living, problems of where things are, but you feel like you can't have a relationship, you feel like you better see what you're doing. Because all of that, because when you start depending upon spirits and entities to give you guidance and direction, and you're not looking at the real one, you're going to get in trouble. And I know you don't mean it. But that's something that you need to take into consideration. No judgment. When people want to do that, no judgment. Now, what about John O'Keefe when he came to get you, Zelda, there the day after Christmas 2 years ago, and you saw the crime scene? That was the energy. That was the energy. Why? Why? Because there's It's a matter of physics. The energy, for lack of a better word, knows. That's right, Karen. Practical magic. That's right. Oh, hello. What have I just done? Let's celebrate. The energy, I'm open to the frequency. I'm not open to entities and spirits. I'm open to that frequency. That energy of John O'Keefe has been looping. Now, do the people that are living in that house of 34 Fairview Road having problems? I don't know. I don't know. Is there something that is still there? Yes, that energy will still loop. Think of it as taking a photograph. Think of it as these videos. I go back and I look at the videos a year ago and I look completely different than what I feel like I look. But until this platform goes down, these will live on long after I'm gone. And that's what keeps it around. I don't know, Pickles. I can't judge. I'm not going to comment on any of those things. I don't know, my darlings. You have to use your own. Yeah, you just have to. You have to use your own thought process. I believe angels have the face of God. We are told that we have angels, but we are never to worship angels. Never. We are told that in the Bible. There was a book that came out in the 80s about something about praying to your angels or angel worship or something like that. That woman suffered. And it's because you're taking the power of God and putting it somewhere else. There's many instances in the Bible where the angel will say, don't worship me. No. But we are told that the angels have the face of God. And that means when, like in the book of Zechariah, it says, if you get closer to me, I'll get closer to you. That's why we are supposed to stay. That's why we are supposed to be close to God. It's the difference between making a call from room to room and a long distance call. Imagine the only time when you're a parent, you only hear from your children when you're in trouble, when they're in trouble. Imagine you love your kids, but the only time you hear from them is when you're in trouble, you need money. And then when it comes to fruition, oh, well, thanks a lot, God. And you're off doing the same thing again. So the reason that our angels have the face of God is the closer that you are to God, your angels can step in. Having the face of God means, and believe me, that is very true in my life, that if something happens, an angel having the face of God can make a decision to contact God right away and say, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to help him. We're going to help her. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Let me see what the name of that book is. Okay. I guess it came out in the 90s. And no, it's not the book. Ask Your Angels, I think is what it was. The book of Ask Your Angels, maybe. I think it was Ask Your Angels. I think that's what it was. Ask Your Angels. So, anyway, it was one of those things that you just kind of like, so you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Only our Heavenly Father is it wrong to talk, pray to our loved ones. You can talk with them. Can they hear you? I don't know. We're on a different plane. See, here's the thing. We think when you pass away, things are the same up there. They're not. They're not. First of all, we're genderless. There's no giving and taking in marriage there, and we all are about the same age. There's nothing wrong with saying, gee, Mom, I miss you. Gee, Dad. Gee, Grandpa. Gee, Grandma. Gee, honey. Gee, my child, I miss you. I wish you were here. But wanting to call them back in and talk to them and show up and sit with you at the dinner table is a completely different thing. So there you go. Okay, now it's the story about my son. See, I got off on this. Hold on a minute. Angel Sutton, my darling, what about asking the pendulum questions? Like, could that breakthrough seizure been prevented energy-wise? Maybe. These things you have to be so careful, because even this, it is very hard, and you shouldn't really depend on a lot of these things. Yes, in heaven, I can eat whatever I want. I'm going to be eating manna. That's probably where I am. I'm going to be singing in the choir. I'm going to be playing with my kitties. So, I mean, you have to do what you feel is right. I cannot sit and judge. And I won't. Okay? But you need to be researching about this so you know you're doing the right thing. Here's the story about my son. Now, sometimes my son was picked on too, and sometimes it was because of me. But okay, we endured. Now, he went to, I guess a slumber party. Does that sound? It's boys. They had to get together, and I can't remember how old he was. I think he was about 10, something like that. Now he knows from sitting to me. He knows the rules. You don't go to other places, people's houses, and you don't play with these things. You don't go to other people's houses, and you don't look into their private things. You don't ask about money. You don't, there's rules. A sleepover. Thank you very much, Shell. Thank you. You don't ask that. So this young boy, he was a turd. This was a sleep. I have to tell you this because Ian would go to this boy's house and they would be together. And this boy would purposely scare Ian constantly. And I would get so mad. And I would just tell him, I would say, you're not going back over there again. Because guess what? Every morning at 3:00 in the morning, ring, ring, ring. Mom, what? Can you come get me? Why? They're scaring me. Ian, I told you you're not going over there again. So guess what? Mom gets up 3:00 in the morning, drives, he comes sneaking out. There we are. Mom, can we go get breakfast? It's 3:00 in the morning. Nothing is open. And no, We are not. You're going to go home and you're going to go to bed. Well, this one night he tried to tough it out. They had this sleepover, and guess what appears is a Ouija board. And guess what? They were playing with this Ouija board. Here's another closet. There was a closet in this boy's room. What did they hear? Growling coming from the closet. He said it was horrible, the growling. And at first, they thought, oh my gosh, this is a joke. But the more they did this, the more it wasn't. Now, I'm just going to tell you, my son being my son, steps up, grabs the Ouija board, walks over to the closet. Listen, my soul about left my body when I heard this story. My son, not another closet, not the closet again, right? Not another closet. Not another closet, no. So, poor Ian, he wasn't so horrified, but he grabs over, grabs this Ouija board and the planchette, walks over to the closet and throws it in. Boom. And the growling stopped. And so did these boys. That boy, I told him, when I went and picked him up, they told me what happened. Ian didn't tell me, the boys told me. And I told him, thanks a lot, because he's not coming back here. They didn't like that, and neither did my son. But oh well. Oh well. And that was the problem. To this day still, I have thoughts about that. And why the closet, you ask? Because closets can hold energy. Think about it. Somebody's outside. My little Scooby doesn't feel too good. She's got psoriasis really bad. And when I put that medicine on her, she kind of feels bad. She's sitting in the windowsill sleeping. I'm going to bring her into bed with me. So it's because it's contained, it's dark, and there's a lot of energy that goes in your closet. Now I want you to think about this. He wasn't the hero because they were mad that he took that and he went in and shoved it into the closet. And I said, you know what? Fine. Be mad. Be mad on your own time. So closets, think about this. Think about it this way. Say, for instance, you have a bad day. You want to go home. I think there's sometimes it's good to leave your closet door open. Maybe throw salt in there. Maybe sage your closet. Let it air out. Because think about this. If you have a bad day, as an example, and you go home and you're like, oh my gosh, taking their clothes off. I can't believe this. Hang up your coat in your closet. I've had the absolute worst day. Hang up your whatever in your closet. Or you throw your dirty clothes in a basket in the bottom of your closet. Guess what? All that energy accumulates and it's still in your closet. And then what happens? Oh my gosh, I had such a wonderful day. Oh, good. Here, put that energy in my closet. Put that energy in my closet. Take care of your closets. My closet doors are always closed, but I take care of my closets. But my darlings, this has been, and my closet has all the designer handbags in there. Well, they protect me, right? Yeah, right. All the little charms on your designer handbags. That's right. That's right. So anyway, my darlings, I no, I don't have a clearing manual. I just do a house clearing for people. The last house clearing, I don't know if Maria is on here, but she will tell you I did a house clearing for her, and I can do it remotely. And she told me because there were some things that a mirror caught. And she sent me some pictures, and you could see that there was something in the mirror. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. This is the time that I'm going to do it. And the moment that I started, the lights went out. And she's like, oh my gosh, that freaked me out. But it got rid of the thing, and that's it. Hello. Would you like something to eat? It's up to you. So anyway, my darlings, that's it. Have some iron around you. I just noticed something. I wear brown pencil. I love brown pencil. But on here, in real life, it looks great. On here, it makes me look like I've been crying. I'm going to have to change that, aren't I? Yes. As a matter of fact, I will. So anyway, don't forget to check out the haunted items. For those of you who haven't seen it and just come in, I got to show you this because you're going to love it. I just realized I'm still giving everybody in the house the peace sign. Here we are. Now, do you see this? Oops, no. Do you see these? These are on clearance. Two pairs of socks and a hair scrunchie for $5.99. I wanted those little, like here, these little charm earrings type things, and they're sold out. The link to my Avon is in the description, and just check this out. They are so cute. Look at this. Hello, thank you. Look at these bracelets. Now, I like this wrap dress on the right, but look at that little nightshirt. And look at, and I was told today, ding dong, Avon calling. I was told today, I love this watch. Look at this. It glows, and it glows. So if you go out anywhere and you let it cook in the sun or in the light, when you go into the dark, it does that. Isn't that a gas? I just think that's hilarious. But I was told today to run to get these items because they are so cute. And the prices are right. And they have good quality things. And while you're there, take a look in the clearance. I call it the clearance. Look in the clearance. Department. Let me show you where you can do that. Look up here. So you go to special offers, and then over here is the last call. That's your clearance. Go into clearance, and wait, where are you? Let's go here to clearance again. It just doesn't want to act right tonight. Here we go. Now I'm going to tell you something. These are new, especially if you have mature skin. Wonderful. Here is these scents: sparkling grapefruit, jasmine, seductive amber. Remember that night. That smells so good. Violet. Oh my goodness. They are all wonderful. And they've got all kinds of things in here, my darling, under the clearance. Someone asked me about Odyssey. I'm going to look at that right now. Oops. Can we spell today? I can't get it to spell right. What's wrong with my computer? You know how to search it. For some reason, my keyboard is wonky and it won't put enough. I don't know what's going on with this. I think it's because the cats have sat on it too long. Anyway, my darling, how do I feel about night horrors? A clearance? Yeah, you have to go into the clearance. You got to go into the clearance aisle. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I want to thank you in advance. Yes, they have free shipping, I think over $25. So it's free shipping too, so load up. And they've got some bundles. If you like Korean skincare, they have bundles that are out of this world. How do I feel? Oh, bless you. Thanks for sneezing in my hair. I appreciate that. How do you feel about night horrors? I had them starting at 6. I'm 71. I have 3 sons. My middle son, the same thing. Do you have any advice? Clear your bed, clear your room with salt. Doesn't matter what kind of salt. Clear your room and blessed olive oil. It is James chapter 5, the oil of our people. Olive oil, bless it. Any olive oil, but just if you bless it, don't cook with it after. Okay? We are in Mercury retrograde. That's what it is. Other than cats sitting. Oh, I thought this was Shaggy Noodle. It's Petey Pink Nose. Looky. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. So anyway, I forget what I was talking. Mercury retrograde, whatever. Oh, night terror. Okay. Oil of our people, James chapter 5. Bless them. Make the sign of the cross. How do you bless? Anybody can do this. You don't need a priest. You can bless holy water and you can bless oil. I take a little bit of olive oil. I keep it. You can get a little glass vial at the pharmacy. You can get a glass vial I fill it up and then you bless it. I'm blessing you in the name of Jesus, the oil of our people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Whatever blessing you want to say. But bless it. Use it only for blessings. Don't cook with it. And then bless yourself, your son. I'm constantly blessing the house. Above the doorways, the windows, your faucets, your drains, your toilets, your back door, your front door. Everything. Bless. Bless, bless. Bless the head of the bed. Bless the foot of the bed. Now, I'm just going to tell you, sometimes when you do that, it's kind of like that fight, that last moment of fight. And then I bless olive oil, but you can bless olive oil. There's no reason why you can't. You can get those little, yes, at the dollar store. I like the glass ones because they, oh, I like dollar stores. Sorry, Kelly. That's what I mean, listen, you are just as blessed. It does not say in the Bible, you must have a priest pee in somebody's ear to get this blessing. No, you have that same right. Bless your water, bless your oil, bless your house. Sweep out the old, and do not put a mat in front of your front door that says welcome. No. See, there you go. Dippity doo dah. I love it. Don't put a welcome mat. What are you welcoming in? You don't want to welcome in a lot of stuff. By the way, this lipstick that I have on, just a little bit that comes off, but this, and I'll have to take this lipstick off. This is garnet. I love it. Hello there, my darling. See? And that's very sad. Baptists don't have priests, but if you do, yeah. See? I'm telling you that God, it's not a broken system. God loves everybody. Everybody's his child. You can do it yourself. Okay, hold on. Somebody asked a question here. I hear my name being called too, and I ignore it. Usually every time when I go into a church, I cry. I stay out. Okay. Kitty, look at that little sweetheart. This is really silly. No, it's not. But then you have oil all over your house. Well, darling, you're not cooking. You're not pouring 15 in. You just take a little smudge on your right hand. If you're left-handed, I'm sorry. It's on your right hand, right index finger, or your thumb. You take it, just a little bit. You do the sign of the cross. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, I bless this home. And we are protected by the blood of the Lamb. We are protected by God in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. That's how you do it. You don't need to, I have a doormat that says welcome-ish. Depends on who you are. Is that safe-ish? Well, I don't do it. I don't do it. You absolutely you can bless. Absolutely you can bless. Absolutely. There's no reason. In the book of Acts, before that, we are told to go out. And if we have to wait for a certain few to we won't get it done. Most leaders of the church don't listen to us, and they're not taught properly anyway. They're teaching false doctrine anyway. So why would we want them? Sorry, there are many that do, but many, many more that don't. I wouldn't let one step in here, and not when I can do it myself. I love that. I had a doormat that says, wipe your paws, honey child. I like that. That's funny. Thank you. I need to write a book. Well, my darling, somebody already did. It's called the Bible. But I'll be glad. I mean, you don't listen. You don't have to run out. Oh, hello. That was an alligator. That wasn't a cat. Did you see that? You do not have to run out and change your doormats. I'm just saying. I like my Halloween doormat. I usually leave it out all the time, and it basically says, get out. And it's got a, monster looking. It says, get out. And I leave it out all the time. The church is definitely teaching false doctrine. And oh boy, don't get me started. We'll be on here another 5 hours, and that's not good. My book is coming out after Lord Greggor's. I'll just leave it that way. Soon after. Not right away, but soon after. So my darlings, I want to share this with you. I want to thank you so very much for being here. I love sitting here and talking with you and telling stories and doing accents and if anybody needs your sins prayed away, well, for $250. Wait, wrong accent. If you need anything prayed away for $250, I will do that. Do you want any type of other things to happen? Do you want to talk to let's talk to George Washington for $250. I'll tell you why. What to say? Get rid of his wooden teeth. See, I make myself laugh. There you go. Anyway, my darlings, I want to thank you. I know I can't get my Riley laid on my keyboards. He came up here and he laid on my mouse and laid on my keyboard, and something is stuck and I can't get it to write well. So you can check on Odyssey if you want, okay? And I apologize for that. Um, Let me see. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I may have a special announcement on Saturday. All right. So stay tuned. Be here Saturday because I'm going to try to peek through the windows again. I'm going to try. I don't know. I can't. My Nightbot is giving out wrong info. I didn't know if it was or not. There's something I can't get into the one Nightbot account. Let me see. Captain Jerry, can you put the Nightbot up that's got the app stuff in, please? The if you're here, or one of you mods, please, if you'll do that. I want to just check and make sure something is going on with Nightbot, and I cannot get in it to correct it. So I don't want to say don't pay attention to, but don't pay attention to the Nightbot till I can get it, till I can get it done. So it's just a few messages up from my comment. Okay, let me see. I thought I did see it go by, but I'm going to check it here. I saw my Amazon wish list. Oh, you probably sent it to the True Oracle Cash App. That's okay. If that's where you sent it to, that's the True Oracle side. That's fine. True Oracle app Cash App is fine, my darling, because see, we have two going at the same time. So we've got True Oracle here, and then we've got mine over here. So if you send it over there, that's quite all right. No worries. What's a Nightbot? Well, a Nightbot is this little thing that is misbehaving because it's Mercury retrograde. Thank you so much. So yes, come Saturday night, I will probably have an announcement Saturday. I'll probably post it and not because I don't want to interrupt the chat and interrupt the, whatever. I knew that you were what? Thank you. I have a plum liner and I need to, and I've got navy and I love it. And navy, I like navy because it makes the whites of your eyes really look white. Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, do me a favor. There we go. That's on my side. Thank you, Patty. There we go. So sorry for the confusion, my darling. So I think you did send it to True Oracle, and that's quite all right. Thank you so much. So I will be here. Watch for any announcements that may come for Saturday. Saturday, I'm going to try to look through the mirrors for Nancy Guthrie's home. I'm going to try. I don't know if I can. That's a lot of energy. And a lot of stuff is going on with that house. And if you haven't seen it, please, if you haven't been there already, please do me a favor and go to this channel. It's a 2-minute video that I have on. Wait, it didn't go on. It didn't go on True Oracle. Hello. Thank you, Renee. Thank you. Thank you. Let me try this again. It didn't go on True Oracle's side. There we went. There we went. Hello. If you haven't seen it, if you'll go over there, please do me a favor, because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do crime reenactments in the style of this video, and it'll make you stop and think. I might even do a few little like paranormal, but I don't know. I want to keep that. It's the second part. Well, it's another part. There's so many parts of the Nancy Guthrie case. I mean, I could probably sit here for 2 weeks and still not have enough. So this next part, I'm just going to warn you. I had to get up from my computer a couple of times. And I'll explain it in the, I'll explain it in the video. Because something happened that freaked me out while I was making it. And that it's just so eerie to think that this woman is at her home and at risk. Thank you so much, my darling creative snapper. Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, I want to thank you so very much. I did quit doing Manifestation Monday because it's just too much on me. And believe me, there's not anything on there that you won't learn, that I could even teach you anymore. So if you want to go to True Oracle, look up that playlist, and believe me, you'll hear it. You'll hear everything from Manifestation Monday. You'll hear it. So now, my ladies, my darlings, stay tuned for the end. Thank you so much. And I'm going to see you Saturday. Be prepared. And we'll just go from there. I'm here. Thank you. It's hard for me to say goodbye to you because I have so much fun. Do you know that? That's why it seems like I drag out so much. Now, stay for the outro, please. And then you can tell everybody goodbye. Big hugs, lots of love. Keep your closet doors closed, and brush your teeth. Bye. And so the lantern fades, but the shadows remain. This story may end here, or perhaps it's only just begun. See you soon.